afternoon. Welcome to another PostCult Worldview ride along. In this episode, I want to talk about agnosticism. And it's a big subject, and it's so profoundly important to me that I'm worried if I don't hurry up and do a video about it, I'll never make one. Because it's when I'm passionate about a subject, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger in my mind, and then I start to put a lot of importance into presenting it in just the perfect way and cover every possible aspect of it, and then nothing gets done. So I'm going to try not to do that this time. My question to you is, what do you think you know for sure? There's not a lot we can say we are 100% sure about. Perhaps you've heard the phrase, I think, therefore I am. Some say that that's really all you can know. You have no way of knowing whether your surroundings are real. You could be in a computer simulation. You could be a brain in a jar that has sensory input being fed to it. You could be in the Matrix. There's just no way to know. At least not empirically. There's no way for us to present absolute evidence that the outside world, outside of your consciousness, exists. I think, therefore I am. That's the one thing I know. What I'm referring to is a philosophy called solipsism. Solipsism is the doctrine or assertion that nothing but myself exists, which I actually find to be kind of a repugnant idea, especially if somebody were actually to live life as if that were true. We have to live life as if the people we interact with really exist and really matter. And frankly, I think that outside of philosophical meanderings, the question of hard solipsism is a foolish one to really spend any time on. I think that most of us intuitively know that more than just us exists. And I would go far as to say we intuitively know that this earth, this universe exists, and it's not just some simulation. I can't present evidence that proves that, because if there were some kind of alien life form that was advanced enough that it could make a computer program that was impossible to detect, there's no way you could know whether that was your reality or not. So empirically I can't prove it, but intuitively I know it. I am real, you're real. Another way to put this is that I am maximally sure that we're both real and that this world, this universe is real. And really that's kind of my approach to all things. It's varying degrees of certainty. Some things I am maximally sure about. And science has to make certain assumptions if it's going to move forward in giving us answers. There's three basal assumptions. Basal is in base or basic. I don't remember what the third one is offhand, but the first one is that the universe exists, and the second one is that we can learn things about it through observation. So we make those assumptions and move forward from there. And with those assumptions, I'm maximally sure that the Earth is not flat, that certain religious claims cannot be true. I am maximally sure that the earth revolves around the sun and that the moon revolves around the earth. So again, everything is about degrees of certainty. Now, that brings us to the question of God, because that's what generally is meant when you bring up the word agnosticism or agnostic. A person can be agnostic about anything. Excuse me. I can be agnostic about the paleo diet, or chemotherapy. You know, I can suspend a conclusion on a subject and hold two thoughts in my mind at the same time without committing to either of them. And that to me is what it means to be an agnostic about God. It's about not making a commitment. You know, as a Jehovah's Witness, I had a commitment to a belief. Not only that God exists, but that a specific God exists, and a specific interpretation of a God existed. And that, well, you know the whole story. I had a totalist worldview where everything was explained and you had to accept it all. That, my friend, is a recipe for cognitive dissonance. I could talk for an hour just about cognitive dissonance. I think cognitive dissonance theory is absolutely fascinating. But if I ever do a video just on that subject, I'll probably not put it in this playlist for the worldview discussion, but rather make it about undue influence and how the Watchtower organization uses cognitive dissonance to control people. But cognitive dissonance is an incredibly uncomfortable feeling. And people that are in totalist groups are often unaware that that is what they're feeling. It's interpreted in different ways. It might come out in anxiety or depression. A great effort is put into silencing that cognitive dissonance. I don't ever want to experience cognitive dissonance again. So what cognitive dissonance is, basically, is when you have a belief that you have a lot of investment in, and you are confronted with evidence or a thought, a philosophy, any kind of a confrontational piece of information, something that counters that strongly held belief, you get this feeling of discomfort, mental discomfort, that you want desperately to silence. You want to harmonize things in your brain. Harmony is much better than dissonance in your brain. So you put forth great effort into silencing the contrary thought. All kinds of ways that people do this. And this is largely what confirmation bias is all about. You know, if we come to a conclusion about the existence of God, anything that might, let's say somebody is convinced that there is no God, that they identify as atheist, they claim to be an agnostic atheist, and they come across information about a near-death experience, for example. You know, something that might indicate that consciousness does not just emerge from brain matter, something that disagrees with the materialist worldview. That person might experience cognitive dissonance, if only for a moment, and they will immediately find some type of proof, so to speak, to discount this new piece of information. Now, this usually happens on the other side of the spectrum, where somebody is a theist and somebody brings up something scientific to contradict an aspect of their theistic worldview. And that person will run to the apologists of whatever religion they are to try to silence those contrary thoughts. I don't want to be on either sides of those coin, really, ever again. So I don't want to commit to anything other than agnosticism, at least at this time. Now, I'm open to the possibility that there will come evidence to me that is so irrefutable on one side or the other that agnostic doesn't tell the whole story anymore. I am not committed to agnosticism either. Not strong agnosticism. What strong agnosticism is, it's not only saying that I don't know if God exists, and it's not just saying that no one knows if God exists. It's actually going so far as to say it is unknowable whether God exists. And this kind of strong agnosticism usually goes hand in hand with that idea of strong solipsism or hard solipsism, which is to say nobody can know anything other than that your consciousness is flowing, that you are thinking. Beyond that, you can know nothing. Now that gets a little bit squirrely, because if you're going to make the assertion that nothing can be known, you're making a knowledge claim. If you claim make the claim about God that God cannot be known, you know something about God. Okay? Does that make sense? So I think that strong agnosticism is self-refuting, and it doesn't resonate with me at all. To me, what being an agnostic means at its core, and why I like the word so much, is not that I don't think we can have knowledge on a given subject, or specifically about God. It's that I am not done knowing. And I am okay with the possibility that I may never be done knowing. I'm also open to the possibility that I will know things that I currently don't know in the future. Even things on esoteric subjects, or things that we might be inclined to call metaphysical. I'm also open to the possibility that right now, walking the earth, there are people that know things about the metaphysical that I don't know. I'm open to the possibility that you, the person watching, knows something about the metaphysical that I don't know. That's what agnosticism means to me. I am not done knowing. Why do I need a label beyond that? Usually, when somebody talks about being agnostic, there's another label to tack on to the end of it. Agnostic atheist, agnostic theist, agnostic pantheist. I am a seeker. I am not a settler. What about you? How do you feel about the word agnostic? What does it mean to you? Do you think it's enough? Does a person even need the label agnostic? You know, maybe I'm just Daniel Wiebe and that's it. Maybe that's enough. I think it's good to think about these things, but we can get so bogged down in these labels that we can easily sell ourselves short. So comment below, tell me what you think. If you like these videos, please click like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share if you want. Thank you for watching, and remember, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophy.